about muscular tone. Not in how the muscles look, but in how they maintain a difference in the concentration of the ions across the plasma membrane so that those muscles are ready to act. They talk about muscular tone. This is referring to the little bits of electricity. And the electricity is caused by ions. So, once again, with the vessels, okay, our blood vessels are going to have a plasma membrane and once again have to deal with movement of ions which are electrically charged. So anytime we've got that situation and we maintain a little bit of difference in that electricity, meaning more positive on the outside, more negative on the inside, which is what happens with the cells of our body, okay? We're maintaining electricity, which is tone. So, the tone, okay, is helping those blood vessels, because it's vasomotor, all right, it kind of keeps them in a little state of constriction. But the reason for that, okay, with the sympathetic division just acting by itself, okay, we can actually control the blood flow to the tissues. Why would I need to do that? Why would I need to control blood flow to the tissues of my body?
Part of what again? Muscle?
Alright, based on the work they're doing.
Like, I guess if you're cold or like in the Arctic or something like that, they start pulling the blood from the tissues of your outer extremities to get to your inner organs.
Into your inner organs. When we think about blood flow in the body, does every single tissue in your body have the same amount of flow 24/7? No. Your body cannot support that. Under normal conditions, 5 to 6 liters of blood is available at any point in time. That means that 5 or 6 liters cannot serve every single skeletal muscle you have, every single smooth muscle you have, and one of the organs, actually the organ that your body is going to send the blood to first is your brain. So, it will actually pull the blood from other areas of the body to feed the brain. So it's going to send it to the brain first, to the organ second. Then everything else can fall off. Alright? For example, let's think about the cold again. In extreme cold, yes, the body's taking that blood flow, sending it to the brain and the organs. And the reason that ears are so susceptible to frostbite, they're kind of exposed unless you got them covered up. But even if you've got them covered up, the blood flow is not there to keep them warm. So the body's going, so what? I can do without this. I'm still here without being present. So it'll be like, go ahead, fall off. Frostbite, fall off. Because it's going to serve the brain and the organs first. This becomes very important when shifting blood around, say for example, shifting blood around to make sure the digestive system is breaking down foodstuffs, to make sure skeletal muscle can meet the demand to run. So it'll shift it around to the areas of the body that it needs. So we either get to see those blood vessels constrict or those blood vessels dilate. When we begin to look at how we control the autonomic nervous center, one thing that I keep mentioning, a major control, is the brain stem area. Midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata. We're finding control for the heart, blood vessels, salivation for digestion, swallowing, sweating, the bladder, the eyes, and other areas of the brain. For example, the hypothalamus. Primitive functions such as getting our food, drinking water, reproduction. The cerebral cortex. This, if you remember, the area of higher order thinking. What that is going to be able to do is influence the autonomic nervous system, not to control it. Influence it. If you think there's danger, does your heart rate increase, you're sweating, you only have to think it. What about if something is very stressful for you? Maybe it's a situation of having to go to work every day, having to come to class every day. When you get stressed out, what happens to your body? And working harder might be, taking the blood flow increase, it's using up a lot of my nutrients and my minerals, and I'm kind of so we can influence.
In certain situations, like if you're nervous, like let's say you have to go to the sleep or something like that, you have to do some people and your heart rate's jacked, and they're taking deep breaths and controlling your breathing, and then kind of control the rest of the body, and you can talk yourself out. Like you can cognitively condition your brain so it not have those responses in certain situations.
Biofeedback. That is what you're doing. Because the first thing that's happening is you're recognizing that it's occurring, and then if you train yourself to understand what's causing it to happen, and then rationally talk to yourself about it, you're actually making the body slow down. And all of that going to be higher order, the cerebral cortex. So it can influence it, but it doesn't control it. The majority of the control, midbrain, pons, medulla, the hypothalamus, and then some of the functions that we have to carry out from this system are actually leveled at the spinal cord. Just like we would have with a reflex, swatting the fly away or something like that. For example, defecation, micturition, meaning urinating, These are all integrated at the level of the spinal cord, where the information gets sent to the proper area of the brain which innervates the bladder, for example, and to the point you're like, okay, I gotta go. Let me go. Alright? It all starts with areas in the spinal cord, which is kind of cool. When we talk about the autonomic nervous system, we do have drugs that work on this part of the system. If it's working on the sympathetic division, they're referred to as sympathomimetics. Yeah, say that a couple times. Basically, enhance the activity. So that mimetic is saying increase it. The sympatholytic. Remember, lytic means to slice, to break something down. That means stop it. Let's have some control here. So, a good example of increasing the sympathetic division, cold medicine. So that we feel like we're getting some recovery. All we're getting is help with the symptoms of the cold. The lytics, basically when we begin to look at this, beta blockers, ones that are used for blood pressure control. Under normal conditions, hopefully your body is controlling your blood pressure, but we can move into areas that are going to lead to chronic blood pressure issues, and then you need help. For the parasympathetic, once again, we have the mimetic and the lytics. We also see that they have created medication to actually act on the neurons that produce a neurotransmitter. This is what happens with a lot of medications for like clinical depression, bipolar, and so forth. Caffeine is a drug, all right? Caffeine, adenosine, and I'm sure you guys kind of remember that because that's been in a whole lot of things like our ATPs, that sort of thing, okay? In this case, for receptors in the brain, receptors for adenosine, which would make us sleepy, caffeine competes. Caffeine will bind to those receptors, adenosine doesn't, and that gives us the awake feeling that we get from caffeine, which is kind of cool. The way that it does it is it has a similar shape. So the natural molecule, the adenosine, which would attach and make us sleepy, because caffeine has a similar structure, it can attach to those receptors and supposedly make us stay awake. Even though I have known people who drink coffee at 10 o'clock at night and still sleep. I'm like, oh, what?
That's just the difference in receptors, right? There's more receptors to receive the adenosine.
I don't know. It could be. It could be. A tolerance to it?
Is your body just to do it so long that it's adapted?
It very well could be. I mean, it's like, I guess it would be like any other, since it is a drug, any other drug is out there. That officially ends Chapter 15 for us. Yay! Don't get too excited. So, no, we don't have class again until next Thursday. In between then and now, print off that study guide